Welcome back to UAP Rant. This is episode 19 in the series now. For those that have been following the podcast, we've been talking about recently Maxwell's quaternion notation in reference to the fourth dimension as being scalar in his original work before it was modified into vector calculus by Heaviside, and then into Einstein's space-time concepts for special relativity, linking, for example, the Lorenz equations into that in terms of understanding the relationship between time and space. But we were going back to Maxwell's original consideration of the variable for the fourth dimension as scalar when it comes to time, and relating that to hyperspace and interdimensional travel, because considering time as a scalar field instead of a strict axis, it permeates all points in space simultaneously, so past, present and future all exist at the same moment rather than time having any sort of axis or direction. Which also links back to what we observe in UAP or UFOs and some of the five observables, and also we strongly want to discuss that in terms of our own research in terms of orbs and rods manifesting within what we think is an interdimensional anomaly in the field, in our fieldwork, which we've published some papers from our lab on ResearchGate. So I just want to pick up on the hyperspace concept for time as scalar and its reference to interdimensional travel, because we can think of Maxwell's fourth dimension time as scalar, and in terms of a high dimensional space that allows shortcuts between two points. Now, it's hard to consider that if space-time is a vector quantity, because you get stuck with the limitations of the speed of light. But the moment time is scalar, as in Maxwell's original mathematics, we start to see the fourth dimension in a very different light that would easily allow shortcuts between 2 points in three-dimensional space. So essentially you're jumping between these two coordinates in three-dimensional space with no vector. It's just a straight relative relationship between two coordinates and jumping across them in the fourth dimension. Now, the theoretical basis for that is the concept of wormholes or extra dimensions that are proposed in string theory, for example, providing a bridge through space-time to connect to distant points via a higher dimensional tunnel. And of course, because there's no vector, we're not stuck with the limitations of three-dimensional space and distance and time, or space and time. We've just got time as a separate quantity that's four-dimensional and scalar. So in terms of interdimensional mechanics, objects themselves, with the technology that would be capable of entering hyperspace, would leave our observable space-time. So they'd bypass the normal constraints of the speed of light. Now, in special relativity, the speed of light is of course crucial, but we've got to remember that's based on the vector calculus of the modified equations of Maxwell from his original quaternion notation. So upon re-entry, when you circumstant the speed of light, you would appear at a completely different spatial and temporal coordinate in the fourth, because the fourth dimension is scalar. So this links directly back to UAP. So we're starting to circle more back to UAPs and UFOs now, and their five observables. If time is scalar, this makes so much more sense in trying to figure out how on earth this all happens in terms of vector fields. Let's rethink things and go back to Maxwell's quaternion notation and time as a scalar component, with the other three variables being a vector field. So we can get rid of that, and in scalar time, those objects will jump between 2 points from one space to another without transversing the intervening three-dimensional space, because they're moving through scalar time in the fourth dimension, which isn't I don't think is a vector. It doesn't have a direction, a past, a present, and a future. Everything exists simultaneously. Therefore, you can jump between coordinates and come back in to the third dimension in a vector field. Now, the technology to do that and how that occurs, I think, also goes back to Maxwell's electromagnetic atom and energy and electric space. So you have the technology that harnesses electric space through the electromagnetic atom, angular momentum, and energy availability, and then that's harnessed within the fourth dimensional scalar time, and then that you make the jump between 2 points, and you disappear and you reappear. So that sudden vanishing and then reappearing of objects in different positions represents the transit through hyperspace in another dimension, or the fourth dimension, which is time. So I'd like in the next podcast to go more into how that relates to our orb and rod research and our perception of dimensions, and talk about the field work and the anomaly that we were working around and within in the field in the next episode, and link that back to this concept of scalar time from Maxwell's quaternion notation. So I'll leave it there for now. It's getting very interesting, and look forward to talking again soon.